and welcome back to what originally was going to be one of several bonus videos, but eventually decided to make just this one, which I know might be disappointing for some, and it's kind of frustrating on my part because this video already got pushed back, but mostly for my own reasoning, where I just got way too into Tales of Arise, where I wanted to 100% that game before I worried about this video, and it just ended up taking a little longer than I thought it would. But ultimately, a lot of the extra stuff I could show involves the optional extra dungeons. The problem is that a lot of them are the same aesthetic. In fact, all of them are the same aesthetic as another dungeon we've previously been to, just with different enemies in it. And I don't think I can justify doing that in bonus videos and it be entertaining. Alternatively, there's this, which I was going to spend a whole video on up until I realised this is how it's structured. The daily events. There's a whole list of like optional little read-ups you can do of like different things on the characters, and most of them are kind of long, to be fair, where you can just read through it and get like, I guess, more of an idea of some of the characters' day-to-day lives. But it's not like the visual novel in Death End where it was like relevant to the story. This is just this. I'm not going to read through it because there's no point. So I was like, so that was also thrown out the window because I didn't want to spend a whole video on that because there's a lot of them and they're all pretty long and I don't think that would be fun. So I thought, oh, I haven't showed off Neptunia Shooter. I spent the next like 5-6 minutes on this before we show off the rest. This is a nice little distraction, but it's literally just that. It's a nice little thing to mess around with. You're going to see in this I'm not good at it. I'm decent enough, I suppose, but I'm really not good at all. I go as far as I can, and afterwards I think because there's a level select on it, I just level select the last level of the lot so I can show you how all the other characters play, and then just kind of leave it there. Because there's really not much else I can add beyond it afterwards. You can only have so many bullets on screen at once, which is why you see it's like a spread shot, but then when it hits an enemy, she shoots quicker. So if you're really close on an enemy, you can absolutely demolish them with shots, as you saw there. And every now and then you get these enemies which are like metal, so you can't harm them. And that's kind of it, like it's just a nice little distraction shooter thing. So I wanted to spend more of this video instead talking about what I don't show. Because the only other thing of real significance that I don't showcase in this video is the last characters that you can unlock on your journey. This is the first boss, by the way. Each of the bosses, except for the last boss, are characters that will then become playable once you beat them. Which is why you give like an evil comper, but then when we beat it, we'll get comper. It's just how they handled it. But the only thing I'm missing is that, as I've mentioned several times throughout the Let's Play, you can unlock the little sisters from the later games in this game by getting the shares of the respective region they come from super high. Getting it to 50% unlocks the plan for them, but you need, I believe it's 75% shares in a particular nation to then get it. So if you want Netgear, Planetoon has to be 75%. If you want Uni, Last Station 75, and if you want Rom and Ram, it's Louis. You get nothing for Lean Box in this game. The sequel addresses that directly by having the oracles in each country be unlockable characters, so there's that, but this is the first game, so it's just how they handled it. And of course, if you're on the PS5 version, if you're playing in arranged mode, you have all of them from the start. But grinding out the 75% shares just to show off a character in like 30 seconds of a video, it was another thing that I ended up just putting to one side because it wasn't justifiable to me. And I think that's the biggest problem with the post-game in this game, is that there really isn't enough there to justify spending time on it unless you're going for completion. Like, there are some games that don't have big post-games, but because there's so much in the base game that you probably didn't get around to, they become your post-game, if that makes sense. Like, Kingdom Hearts 2 was always a good one for me, where there's so much to do that once you beat the main game, you definitely haven't done everything, so there's still stuff you're going to go back and do. Yeah, I know they changed that in Final Mix, where they added stuff that could only be done after the credits had rolled, but I'm talking base KH2 right this second. But that's the kind of what I'm getting at, the idea I mean. And you just don't really get that in this game though. Even though there is, yes, a lot to it, it's a lot of the same of what you've done, or stuff that you're barely going to use, because those little sisters, when they join your party, join at level 1. So that's a big grind you're committing them to if you want to actually use them in any kind of competent endgame stuff. The Colosseum is exactly what it says on the tin. You just fight standard enemies or unique bosses, but it's all it's all very level tailored to levels I'm not prepared to waste time grinding to just spend a little time on. Because like one of the fights is straight up you have to be level 999 as the recommended. And I know I'm like moaning a lot here, but it is just how it is. And so, through a lot of thoughts and consideration, eventually I just decided, no, I will make it one bonus video because I don't want to waste you guys' time with it. I don't want to be here and be like, oh, here's the video where we're going to spend it on this thing that's kind of similar to what we've just done. And now we're going to spend the next video on this other thing that's kind of similar to what we've just done. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to... Like, if anything has been apparent, and I'd like to think it is, even though I've been trying to get better with it as the years have gone by, I'm not someone who can just talk for the sake of talking. If there's nothing to say, or I don't know what I'm talking about, I tend to either stumble on old points repeatedly, or you just get random moments of silence from me. And I prefer to keep that in, usually, unless it's really bad. Like, if I go like 20 seconds without saying a word, I will cut it and figure something out, because that's not wrong. But if it's like a few seconds, I'll leave it, because it's just me. I'm not the fastest talker in the world, and I've never been the best, like, spokesperson, I suppose, in the universe, so I always just kind of steer clear. And just kind of kept to myself when I was younger. So now when I do Let's Plays and whatnot, it's not always the most natural to me, so it's not always the easiest. So then doing something where there's really little to talk about? Yeah, no. I'm not going to go out of my way to actively put myself through it if I can help it. The only, like, real exception I think I ever really made to that rule was the pain areas in both the Death End games. Where the first game, it worked out because there was a lot I wanted to talk about anyway, so I was like, okay, well, I can cover this because there is unique stuff and unique bosses within it. And it gets a nice reward at the other side of it that can, although it's kind of worthless because of how little game time you have afterwards to be able to use it, it's still nice to have. But it was something to show off. And in the second game, I felt like it was an obligation because I did it in the first, so I did it as well there. But that also had, like, not sequel baiting, because we don't really know how much it will bait into the sequel, but some kind of sequel baiting in it, so I felt like I needed to show it to make sure everything was there, so whenever Death End 3 comes around, nothing's missed. So I can say, oh, remember in this thing, or in that thing, or whatever. But anyway, that was a cut there, but this is like basically Neptunia Shooter, and this is me showing off every other character in the last stage. Vert's a charge-up character, you have to charge up and let it go, but she's invincible during the attack, during the charge-up, so if you position her right, she can be quite helpful. Blanc makes a defensive shield, but you cannot make a new one until everything from the last is gone, making her one of the most vulnerable here, because you have to be right in front of the enemy, and if you only have like one page left of her shield, you're stuck with it until it goes. You can't make a new one to save your neck. Vert does really great damage, as you can see though, but it's just how dangerous she is to use. Also, this last level, once you unlock everyone's kind of ridiculous. You've got to be really snapping between everyone to stand a chance in here. Or doing this with Vert abusing invincibility frames. And now there I go. And I show off as well, just for the sake of it, the very last boss. I don't win, because I'm not good at this, as I said, but the last boss is R4. Who has way too much health and survives way too much and just demolishes me because I'm not good at these kind of games. Much as I like them, I do genuinely like these kind of shmups. I'm just never been good at them. So that's kind of it. There's like nothing really of interest to show off. So after kind of literally, this was live recording. I wasn't actually like manually recording. I was just kind of sitting here in my thoughts like, what else can I show? And then I go, oh, I can show off this one unique type of enemy we never show off in the main game. The clients. I don't know how that's how you actually pronounce their name. I just call them clients because I feel like it's supposed to be a play off lion. But these weird little alien blob things are the biggest experience givers in the game. If you can kill them, they drop hundreds of thousands. The problem is if you can kill them. They are monstrously tough. Some of these, despite the fact they're counted as normal enemies, and they just appear as like an extra enemy that can appear in some dungeons, they will rip your head off harder than the final boss. They are genuinely harder than the final boss, and it's just an enemy you can encounter. They regenerate over 26,000 HP per turn. Some of them even more than that. They hit like a goddamn truck. They have extremely high speed, so they can usually go more than once. You'll end up an uphill struggle if you can kill just one. But if you can kill just one, the severity of experience you will get from them will make the next one you kill just that bit easier. So they are worth going, and if you're going for that grind to get to level 999, killing these things essentially becomes the only way you can go. You just need to be in a position where you can, you know, actually survive killing one of these things first. When I eventually grind out the Platinum Trophy for this game, which, like I said, the only trophy I'm missing is fishing everything up and Colosseum, these will be the guys I'll be grinding. I just need to grind myself up on other enemies first until I'm strong enough to be able to survive fighting these things, like, comfortably. And then grinding these things out until I'm around level 900, and then hoping that's enough to carry me through the rest of the Colosseum. Which might sound insane, but that's just what you gotta do. For the first 3 Nep games, post games, really expect you to kind of go wild with the levels to an extent. And here's me still soul searching for stuff to show off in this video, because the first draft of this video was like 6 minutes long, and it's like, no, I can't justify that. So I showcase some of the new music, not all of it, because there's a fair amount actually, but I just decided to show off a few like tunes, especially some of the dungeon beats. Then after that, just wrap up, because there's really nothing else I can do here, and I don't want to feel like I'm just wasting you guys' time. Speaking of time though, I should be talking about what I plan to do next, because similar to Nocturne, I had to think for a second, I will be taking a break because of the JRPG roads I have been doing, where I wanted to tackle 3 big JRPGs this year, and I've now done 2 of them. Previously I said I was considering going to Sonic Colors Ultimate next, but due to how much it's been annoying me with this bonus video not being what it is, and the fact that you guys had to wait an extra week for it before it even came around, and it wasn't even that big or like special, I didn't have as much to talk about as I wanted to. I didn't want to then say, oh, let's do a smaller project, then we'll get to that other big thing I promised this year. So I put Sonic Colors, I pushed it back a little bit. And some of you might look at that and go, oh, is it because the quality of it's not great? And it's like, firstly, that's the Switch version, that's really kind of questionable. And secondly, no, I did actually enjoy Colors Ultimate. I just don't want to go through it again just yet. And like I said, I want to make it up to you guys anyway, and I'm in the mood for 7 Remake. So 7 Remake will be the next project we tackle. It will not, I will specify right now, will not include the DLC right now, because the Yuffie DLC has blocked scenes in it. Which, following Square Enix's methods, those block scenes won't be there forever, so we'll get like a return and playthrough later on. But the main project of Final Fantasy VII is no longer has any block scenes in it, so I can cover the whole game, which is what I will be doing when we next meet. That will probably take us into next year. Next year, my big 3, personally, and this isn't in any particular order, it's just what I want to tackle next year, is Evil Within 2, because I feel like I have left you guys waiting on that for way too long, considering that was literally like the 4th Let's Play I ever did. And I've mentioned many a times I actually really love Evil Within 2. I think I've put that off long enough. I need to get on it, and I will do it. Tales of Arise, because that, I know it's only very recently, but I love that game. It's my game of the year right now, and I have so much time for it, and I want to cover it. But when that eventually comes around, I guarantee you that might be the longest Let's Play I'll ever do, because I will be... The Tales of series is special in how I handle it compared to a lot of other franchises, because I talk to every single goddamn NPC in that game, because I love being invested in the world of a Tales of game. When I'm in the mood of a Tales of game, because I must specify, there's only 2 Tales of games I like now, Berseria and now Arise. Like, the rest of them I just never really clicked with, but when I'm in the mood for Tales of, I absorb every detail, so it's going to be a lot slower, because I'll be talking to every single NPC, we'll be doing every single side quest. I might not do the fishing stuff, just because I'm not the biggest fishing person, but I will be doing everything else in that game. It will essentially be an 100% playthrough, to the nth degree. Every single NPC, every single piece of equipment we'll try and get, every single armor set, every single character max level, max out all of their titles so you can see what all their skills and properties are. It will be everything. It will be probably the biggest project, like I said, I'll do on this channel. And third, but certainly not least, the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters that are working their way to Steam. Although I'm not certain, so we'll have to just wait and see how it goes, I have a hunch once all 6 Pixel remasters are on Steam, they will be bundled together and put on console. When that happens, I'm covering Final Fantasy IV. It might not be immediately, like once it comes out, it depends what I'm in the middle of and what I'm doing, but Final Fantasy IV is part of my big 3 for 2022, of like games I want to cover. So I think I've kind of dragged this on for as long as I have, and I'll probably do another update video at the end of the year talking more thoroughly about my plans for 2022. Because obviously, like, I'm getting older, things aren't as... I say getting older like I'm an old man, but things aren't as convenient as when I was a teenager, where what else was I worrying about? College? Now I work, now I worry about my future, now I'm looking into, you know, the future of my life and how I want to go with it. I don't have as much free time to just, you know, grind out these video games as I used to. As much as I love doing it, and anytime I get a chance to, I adore doing it. So I want to make more structured plans to make sure things can happen and how things are going, instead of just going, we'll wing it, and then one day I suddenly say, oh, I need to take a month off because X, Y, and Z happens, you know? But I'm going to wrap it up here, and I'll do a proper video at the end of the year for it, but next time we meet, it will be with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It'll probably be a few weeks, because I'll probably do it after Genshin 2.2 drops, and I've had like a day or two with that. But either way, I'm going to wrap this up, so I will see you on the flip side. Take care now, thank you so much for watching, and peace.